In this video, we're going to show you how to set up your jobs if you have work on your jobs that get charged by the hour. So most often, our work in landscape is billed either by contract or billed per service. But once in a while, you may want to charge the client by the hour for services performed, and LMN can make that easy. Because the crews clock in and out of jobs for time tracking, LMN's got an exact, accurate count of how many hours were spent on that job. And we can also apply rates to that time by simply setting a couple settings on your LMN time job so that those rates and those hours will get invoiced when we do an invoicing run. Let's show you how to get that set up. So I'm going to jump to an existing job now in LMN time. It could be a job that you imported from an estimate, or it could have been one that you set up manually. The key to billing by the hour is actually tasks, because when a crew clocks into a task, we need to know whether that task is billable by the hour or not. And if it's billable by the hour, you want to make sure this hourly box here is ticked on. So for instance, in the contract we're looking at, mowing and bed maintenance and fall cleanup and fertilizing, all those things are either included in the contract or they're billed by service. But spring cleanup here is marked as hourly. So what's going to happen is we're going to bill spring cleanup by the hour. If I click spring cleanup, you can see here that track hours and rates for billing by the hour is ticked off. And that's what's going to determine that this task here is going to be charged by the hour. So to make a task that your crews are going to work on billable by the hour, simply open the task and turn this checkbox on. If this field is locked down so that you can't change it, that just means that you've already booked time against that, and you'd miss it if you now added rates. So the best thing to do is, if you've already done it, is make a new task and set that up as billable by the hour. So once you've turned on any tasks that are billed as hourly, the next step is to set up hourly rates. So I'm going to slide over here to the hourly rate section. Now, if your job only has one price per hour, like $50 an hour for labor, then it's really simple. You'll just need one rate. You can go down to the bottom right-hand corner where it says Add Rates and click that. You can pick the rate you want to add. You can update the rate amount and then click OK. The rates that show up here are coming from your settings. And you've got a settings table. If you went to LMN time and then the settings menu, there's a list of default hourly rates in that settings menu. So that's what I'm grabbing from here. I'm grabbing one of those settings and then applying the rate specific to that job. So for example, it's $46 an hour on this job. I could do that. Now, sometimes the rate that you want doesn't exist yet, and that's okay. You can go right up here to click Add New. So if I wanted a rate called Horticulturalist, I'll go up here and I'll hit Add New. I'll type in the name of the rate, how it's billed, either per hour or flat rate. In this case, because it's hourly, it's going to be per hour. And then I'll put the amount of the rate. So if it's $65 an hour that I want to charge out to our client for the horticulturalist, I'll set that up like that. And then I'll click OK. That rate comes in there. And when I click OK, it's been added to my job. So now this job actually has three rates. It has horticulturalist and then two rates that I had already added in a previous exercise. So when we're doing work on this job, it could be at any one of these three rates: horticulturalist, maintenance labor, or supervisor. When a crew clocks into this job, after they pick the task spring cleanup, it's going to ask them which rate does each employee apply to. So for each employee they're clocking in, they'll be asked to pick the rate that applies to that employee. They will not see the rate amounts, so your staff in the field will not know the billable rates that you're charging to your customer, but they will see the rate names. That way, if Joe the foreman goes out with a laborer and they do work on spring cleanup, and you want Joe the foreman to get billed out at a supervisor rate and the laborer to get billed up at a laborer rate, when Joe clocks himself in, he'll pick himself a supervisor and his laborer at a maintenance labor. And then the laborer time will get billed at this rate, and the supervisor time is going to get billed at this rate. Now, LMN time will collect that information as timesheets get booked. And when it's time to generate invoices, any work done against tasks that are marked as billable by the hour will get charged these labor rates for those tasks. And with a click of a button, we can invoice that stuff quickly and accurately. It'll mean easy invoicing for hourly work, And it'll also mean no more missed hourly invoicing for hourly work. Because as long as we set it up here correctly, it'll find its way to the generate invoice screen accurately, and we'll have quick and easy invoicing for all our work that's billed by the hour. One last option we'll cover in this is, how do we know the spring cleanup's completed? If you worked on the spring cleanup and you billed by the hour, but you still want to know when the spring cleanup's complete because you don't necessarily want to generate until your invoice is complete, you can create spring cleanup as an unbillable service that the crews could tick off complete or not complete so that you'd know. So they could go back multiple days and clock in under spring cleanup. And then when they're done, they're going to click off spring cleanup complete. If you want to set that up, what you would do is go to your services list. And I'm going to add a service to this job called spring cleanup complete. So I'll go down to the bottom right here. I'll click add services and I'll put spring cleanup complete. When I add that to the job, I want to make sure that that is set up as hourly because that's how we're billing it. So what will happen is it won't actually bill an invoice for spring cleanup complete at like a fixed rate or fixed price. It'll bill by the hour. But now I'll know that the spring cleanup was complete because when the crews mark this as complete on their timesheets, I'll not only have a flag that says the spring cleanup was complete, but I'll also have all the hours and rates that were applied to that job as well, and it's ready for invoicing.